a Canadian radio sanctuary podcast.
Good evening, this is John Oliver with Live Wireless on CFMI 101. Tonight, an interview with Murray McLauchlan, who is on the line in Toronto, discussing his brand new album, Storm Warning, which was produced by Toronto's Bob Ezrin. First of all, we've done this before with your other albums. Let's go cut by cut and just discuss each song, okay?
Sure.
Okay, on side one, Wouldn't Take Another Chance on Love.
Yeah, well, lyrically, that's a pretty straightforward kind of song. It really developed kind of because I've been becoming more and more interested in kind of like a little bit of an R&B flavor. I mean, I think that kind of feel is consistent with the rest of the record. That kind of keeps surfacing again and again.
Yeah.
I wanted to write like a song that had that nice sort of R&B flavored sort of lope. And again, like it is lyrically pretty straightforward. It's just a song about like two people having a fight and going like, hey, this is a drag. Come on, I don't want to lay here all night and talk to the back of your head. We got to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, there's nothing to do. I don't want to take another chance.
I like the way it's linked to the next cut, If the Wind Could Blow My Troubles Away. And there's also something behind that song now as well. I was just told that it is the theme song for the Year of the Disabled.
Yeah, that kind of happened right out of the blue. We had partially finished the song. Really no intentions of releasing it as a single or anything at the time. We had no idea what was going to eventually be released because we hadn't finished the record, obviously. Bob got the idea, as a matter of fact, because of his association with a guy named Phil Watson, who's a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Father happens to be Whipper Billy Watson, who is, I guess, as most people would know, tied very, very closely with crippled children particularly, and with the cause of the Year Disabled in general. Bob talked to Phil, who talked to Whipper, who got some people from the Year of the Disabled campaign down to listen to the song. Like, Bob got the idea of, like, this would be a really nice song for them to use. So they came down to the studio, and we played it for them, and they were just absolutely delighted with it. And then we heard nothing else about it. They kind of just disappeared and did whatever it was that they were doing, and then all of a sudden one day, about 4 weeks ago, a letter appeared on the desk at the office with a tape cassette attached and said, here's our first radio spot. Thanks a lot. That was the first I'd heard that it was even going to happen. And now they've gone on to, through their connections with the Easter Seals campaign, people in Chicago and UNICEF and UNESCO and everything out of the United Nations building, they have a kind of an interchange of material that they have. I believe that it's going to be adopted in the United States for various organizations as well. It's kind of a universal song in that respect, and it seems to fit very well. I'm delighted with the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. It's very catching. And also, it's the Summerhill Children's Choir backing you up with Bruce Coburn?
Yeah, that's right. The Summerhill Children's Choir is sort of Bob's kids and a whole collection of their friends from school.
Ah, I see.
Sort of like, I guess it's a way for the old boy to get his kids on the record. But they were great. They sang their little hearts out for nothing more than McDonald's hamburgers, so I guess the old producer was going after cheap labor, too.
Now, from Storm Warning, Wouldn't Take Another Chance on Love, followed by If the Wind Could Blow My Troubles Away.
Do anything that I can to try and get back to you. I wouldn't take another chance on love, no. I wouldn't take a chance. I wouldn't take another chance on love. I wouldn't take a chance. I wouldn't take another chance on love, no, no. I wouldn't take a chance. If the wind could blow my troubles away, I would stand in a hurricane, get washed away in the driving rain. If the wind could blow my troubles away, blow my troubles away.
And Bruce Coburn is on that as well.
Yeah, the way the whole record kind of came together, practically anybody that was in the hall in the recording studio or working in another studio or anything, we would kind of grab by the collar and drag them in and get them to do something. And that's kind of how a lot of people ended up being on it.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to cut 3, Falling Off a High Wire.
That's kind of an interesting song. It's one of a couple on the record that, for me, was a completely different style of writing. I'd like a venture into something that I hadn't tried before. And what that was to take a whole bunch of wild track that we'd cut. We went into the studio and laid down a groove that might be 17 minutes long, and then edited into a structure. I took a tape home and then wrote the song to it. That song is very closely related to Tell Your Mother She Wants You. It's kind of the same guy, but 10 years different in time. The guy in Falling Off the High Wire is 10 years down the pike from the little street punk that's in Tell Your Mother She Wants You. Their end was really the
music party.
The groove, and Bob's end was kind of the editing and kind of constructive criticism in the lyrics department. The lyrics were pretty well my bag, as they most always are.
I see, yeah. That's what I was wondering, if you were venturing into other territory, away from doing all the lyrics yourself, but those are yours.
No, it's more a cooperative effort on my part lyrically and on their part musically.
Okay. And a great mic effect. Your voice on that comes off in a whole different way. That's one thing about this whole album. When I first saw it, produced by Bob Ezrin, and you think of the credits this man has, working on The Wall by Pink Floyd, and the Toronto band The Kings, and Alice Cooper way back in the early 70s, and so on.
Yeah, and Peter Gabriel's no slouch either, for that matter.
That's right, that's right. At first, I must confess, it was hard to associate Bob's name with an album by Murray McLauchlan, but after hearing it, it sounds nice. It fits.
Well, the thing about that, I guess, maybe people's impressions, I guess, about what I do, I've always considered to be slightly off the mark. Having made albums like Hard Rock Town, or having done stuff like Try Walking Away, I mean, I've really always leaned, I think, more heavily towards maybe a country-flavored style of rock and roll, but certainly more in that general direction. I mean, I've been working with a band since 1976 on stage, so it's not really that radical a departure. I think in terms of singing style, yeah, it is, and I worked very, very hard with Bob to get rid of a lot of habits that I kind of picked up over the years singing on stage. Like, Bob's original idea was to get me to sing the way I speak, instead of putting on kind of accents and mannerisms that I didn't really even know I was doing. But we worked very hard in getting rid of them, and I think I'm really happy with the result.
So it sounds like Bob was more for the natural sound.
Yeah, he got me doing something which to me seemed very, very alien, but he assured me was really my natural style of singing, which as it turns out, it is. But the other stuff was really kind of a mask.
In the next song, Desire, now that's quite a song. I love the line. It's one of my favorite lines. Desire is a bomb that ticks, kill you like a Bruce Lee kick. That's a great line.
Yeah, I like that whole song. It's one of my 3 big favorites on the record, as a matter of fact.
And Dominique Troiano is helping out on guitar, and it's such a strong item. It really is good.
He more than helped out. I think Dominique, to a large extent, really made that song. Like all those roaring guitars, other than just a little funky, fat little Steve Cropper thing in the bottom, that's me, but all of the rest of the roaring stuff, the whole banks of guitars, is all Dominique. He just played his brains out. Matter of fact, it was a funny spectacle to see old Bob actually down on the studio floor on his hands and knees kissing Dominique's shoes. He just was floored by the way the guy was playing.
But you can't have what you want, and you want it so bad. Desire is burning you out. You want it right there in your hand.
And how many times can a fridge break down? That sounds like a pseudo-live effect. Is that really live, or was that a put-on thing?
It was a put-on thing. It's the background noise we recorded at Musso and Frank's, which is a great big deli on Hollywood Boulevard. But it was meant to be a kind of a tribute to folk music, to the old days at the Gog Inn, kind of like just how ferociously cruel it could be to be a folk singer. The song itself is it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a lot of fun. It was just like a humorous look at the relations between man and woman.
Even aside from that, though, now maybe I interpreted this wrong. The way you have the crowd sounding the same at the beginning as the end is almost like they weren't even listening, right?
Yeah, that's the general idea. It's supposed to sound like that.
The struggles of a folkie in a bar and everybody clinking glasses.
Two people clapping in time to the rhythm, and there's a guy in the crowd. When I introduce the song in the beginning, you hear this voice from the crowd goes like, "So what?" Stuff like that. It just reminds me of the old days of being a human sacrifice at the go-in between two rock and roll bands.
Hello, yeah. Microphone? Yeah, good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be with you tonight. I'd like to sing for you the song entitled How Many Times Can the Fridge Break Down? One, two, three. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
This is Live Wireless from CFMI 101, Cable 105, and John Oliver. Our guest tonight, Murray McLauchlan, all about his new album, Storm Warning. As we flip the album over now and go to side 2, and the first track, a very beautiful song, Murray, called Stranger.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'm surprised that more people haven't picked up on that song, or at least noticed it or mentioned it. Because I think it's, in terms of a production anyway, I think it's just one of the best records I've ever heard, regardless of the fact that, I'm involved in it.
You know what it made me think of when I heard the opening bars was shades of a Philadelphia soul production.
Yeah, it's although it's not like that, I think it ended up being in a kind of Righteous Brothers space.
Yeah. Which
I always liked. You lost that love and feeling and stuff like that, so it was a perfect place to go. That's another one that's kind of down the wire in that sort of slightly R&B feel.
If I knew what was going on, would never be a stranger.
And then we get to the second song on side 2 of Storm Warning. The track is called Born Again.
Yeah, that's a straight ahead, as pretty a love song as I could write for the girl I'm in love with. It was kind of funny because everybody around just about had a conniption when they heard that title. They thought I was going the Jerry Falwell route or something.
More like I wanted to be.
This is Live Wireless on CFMI 101. Tonight our guest on the line in Toronto is Murray McLauchlan, discussing his new album Storm Warning on True North Records, distributed by CBS. Back to the album now as we get into cut number 3. You Need a New Lover Now.
Well, that's, again, I guess people that are familiar with the stuff I've done in the past would know it's an old song that I originally recorded, I think, in 1974. And it really got onto the record by accident, more or less. It's a long story, but it got on because the A&R man from Electra Asylum heard a wild track that we cut just kind of fooling around with it and said, "Nuts, you got to put that thing on the record." And I said, "Okay, I'll put it on one condition, that I get to rewrite it." So I went back home and changed the point of view of the song slightly and went back after a different kind of feel to it. And I really think it's one of the most successful things on the record.
Nothing much to say. It's windy today. Sit looking out through your window pane.
Okay, you were mentioning earlier as we get to the last track, Tell Your Mother She Wants You is a bit of a continuation from Falling Off a High Wire.
Yeah. Tell Your Mother She Wants You. It's kind of, it's almost like a sense song. It's a kind of an environment song, like where you paint a kind of an image of, like, sort of senseless urban violence, kind of paranoia that occurs. I said once before, I think, that if you're a guy like Woody Allen walking down the street and you see, like, all of these guys coming up to you, and it's obvious that they're going to trash you. It's sort of like it explores the adolescent male stance quite a bit.
Okay. Yeah, the lyrics, as with all of your songs, the lyrics are very self-explanatory. It's just nice to hear your side of it. Yeah. And it was recorded in New York at the record plant?
No, we did, I got our first set of basic tracks for 3 songs we did at the record plant. Then we came back and moved into Nimbus 9, did a bunch more. Then went down to Manta Sound and finally ended up at Producer's Workshop in L.A. with a stop in Nashville in between to use the choir.
And, of course, you were at Woodland for Whispering Rain.
Yeah, that's right. I did all the work with the Jordanaires and Lloyd Green in the horn section down there.
Right, so it was old territory for you.
Yeah, actually, they had my gold record hanging on the wall and everything.
That's good. What are the tour plans? Do you have any?
Well, we're firming up stuff right now, starting around this area in September. Nothing's really set, but we're working on dates at Ontario Place, at the National Arts Center, and a couple of other things right now. There's something going on, I believe, in December in Nassau. Just, chunks coming together. I'll be putting a band together through August, and then we should probably have more serious touring plans evolved by the first week or the second week in September.
Hanging out in the corner, looking for blood. Don't care about you, don't care about you. Violent crime.
And that concludes Murray's album, the new one, Storm Warning, from CFMI and Live Wireless.